All right, it's time to learn some baseball idioms. Some baseball idioms. Do you know any baseball idioms? If you want to learn baseball idioms, subscribe to my channel right down there, and I'm going to teach you in this lesson. Okay, so the problem is that most people learning English don't know anything about North American sports. They don't know anything about North American sports. Do you know anything about baseball? Do you know anything about ice hockey or American football? You might not know anything about those sports. And, well, the thing is, in English, we have a lot of idioms that are sports related, right? So if you don't understand the sport, it might be hard to understand the idiom. Okay. Now, some people think, they just want to learn English. I just want to learn English. And they don't learn about the culture. Right? They don't learn about sports or other things in English culture. Well, you know what I think? I think maybe sometimes you need to take a break from learning English and learn about other things, in English culture, like sports. It's a big part of English culture. So it would be good if you would understand, baseball or ice hockey. Culture and language are like this. You can't really separate culture and language. So if you try to learn language without the culture, it's very hard. It's very hard. So sometimes I think it would really help to learn the language if you learn a little bit more about the culture as well. And that's what I'm trying to do here, trying to teach you a little bit about sports. Okay, so this is a baseball stadium. Look how big it is. Baseball stadiums are huge. Okay, this is called the baseball field. Okay, now there is a lot of vocabulary related to baseball. I can't teach you all the words in one lesson. It would take really a very long time. But I just want to teach you a few idioms in this lesson, just a few baseball idioms. Okay, so here's the first idiom. That guy says, "What did you think of my presentation?" What did you think of my presentation? He gave a presentation, maybe at work or school. He says, "What did you think?" And his friend says, "I think you hit it out of the park." I think you hit it out of the park. What does this mean? Hit it out of the park. Well, this is a ballpark. Another word for baseball stadium is ballpark. Okay, so if you hit the ball out of the ballpark, that's a good hit. If you don't hit it out of the ballpark, but you hit it out of the field, like over there where those people are sitting, then that's called hitting a home run. A home run. Okay? So if you hit a home run or you hit it out of the park, okay, both of these means you did a great job. You did a great job. You hit a home run. You hit it out of the park. Out of the park. Park means ballpark. You hit it out of the park. So when he says, "What did you think of my presentation?" and his friend says, "You hit it out of the park," that means you did awesome. You did a great job. Okay, so let's take a look at another one here. That guy says, "How much did your shoes cost?" How much did your shoes cost? And this guy says, "I can't remember. I think somewhere in the ballpark of $100. I can't remember. I think somewhere in the ballpark of $100. Okay, so what does this mean? In the ballpark. Well, in the ballpark means an estimate, not exact, right? They weren't exactly $100, but they were somewhere near $100. Okay, that's what it means, in the ballpark. Okay, here's the next one. Let's say this guy is the owner of a company, okay, and he says, "I hired Jeff because he's always on the ball." On the ball. What does that mean? If someone is on the ball, well, that means they are competent. They're very competent. They're responsible. They're very well prepared. They're a very good worker. Okay, if someone is on the ball, that means they know what to do. They're prepared. They're ready. They're smart. They're a good worker. If this is at a job, if someone is on the ball at work, That means they're a very good worker. Okay, now in English, sometimes we say, keep your eye on the ball. Keep your eye on the ball. That means focus. Focus. Keep your eye on the ball. Okay, so this isn't a real ball, right? That's what idioms are not literal meanings. They don't have a literal meaning. They mean something figuratively. Okay, so if we say keep your eye on the ball, that means focus, right? Pay attention, stay alert, right? Keep your eye on the ball. If you're working on something and you sort of get lazy and you forget about it, no, you got to keep your eye on the ball, right? Like tonight is Friday night. I made this lesson and I'm teaching you English, right? I'm not out at a nightclub on a Friday night. No, I'm teaching you English because I have my eye on the ball. I know I need to keep making lessons so you can learn English, right? So I am keeping my eye on the ball for you to learn English. Okay, so let's take a look at this. I need to be careful at work. I already have 2 strikes. What does that mean? 2 strikes. 2 strikes. Well, if you have 2 strikes, that means you have no more room for mistakes. No more room for mistakes. You've already made 2 mistakes. Now you can't make any more mistakes. Otherwise, your boss will fire you. Right? He says, I need to be careful at work. I already have 2 mistakes. I already have 2 strikes. Right? I can't get 3 strikes. Now, a strike is when the pitcher is the person who stands like here, and they throw the ball to the back catcher. Okay. Now, if the ball goes over that white thing on the ground, that's called the plate. That's called home plate. If the ball goes over there and goes between this guy's knees and elbows, if it goes in that area, then that's called a strike. It's called a strike. And the umpire who's standing behind these guys will say, strike, strike. Okay. Now, if this guy has 2 strikes, that means he only has 1 more chance. 3 strikes and he's out. Right? If you get 3 strikes, you're out. Okay, so we can use that if in any other situation as well. If you're at work and you've done 2 things, made 2 mistakes, right? Your boss, if you make a lot of mistakes, your boss is going to fire you, right? So we can say, I already have 2 strikes. I don't want to lose my job, right? Okay, take a look at this. It was nice to touch base with you again. It was nice to touch base with you again. Right? That guy is telling his friend, it was nice to touch base with you again. What does that mean? Well, touch base means to communicate briefly. It sort of means to catch up with someone. If you catch up with someone, that means, well, let's say you meet your friend in a store. You haven't seen your friend for a long time, right? You say, hey, Sarah, how's it going? Good. How are you doing? Good. Are you still in university? She'd say, yeah, I'm in my last year of university. How about you? Are you still working at McDonald's? Yeah, I'm still working at McDonald's. Well, hey, I gotta go, but it was great to catch up with you. It was great to touch base with you. Okay, so touch base just means to communicate briefly. Maybe you see someone for like 5 minutes and you just, you find out what's going on in their life. And then you leave. That's called touching base. Okay, now take a look at this. Sometimes life throws you curveballs. Do you know what that means? Curveballs. What's a curveball? Well, a curveball is a kind of pitch. Okay, so every time the pitcher throws the ball, that's a pitch. It's called a pitch. Okay, now there's different ways he can throw the ball. He can throw it really fast. That's called a fastball. Or he can put a spin on it so the ball curves. And sometimes that makes the batters confused because the ball curves and they try to hit it, but the ball curves out of the way. Okay, there's different kinds of pitches. There's one called a knuckleball, another one called a change up. The ball goes like this, it goes up. So pitchers, they can do different things to the ball. They can pitch it different ways. Okay, so one of those is called a curveball. And that means that something unexpected happens in your life. Okay. For example, maybe your wife gets pregnant and you weren't planning for that. Honey, are you pregnant? Wow. That's a curveball in your life, right? You weren't planning it. That's a pretty big thing. Or maybe you lost your job, right? You weren't planning it, you weren't expecting it, but sometimes things happen, right? Sometimes life throws you a curveball. Okay, here's another idiom. If China wants to play hardball, that's fine with us. Canada could say, if China wants to play hardball, that's fine with us. What does that mean? Play hardball. Play hardball. Well, that means use extreme measures. To play hardball means to use extreme measures. I'll give you an example. Okay, Canada arrested this woman. It was all over the news. You know about it, right? She was a Huawei executive, and the US asked Canada to arrest her. She was flying from Hong Kong to Mexico, and the US found out about that, and they asked Canada to arrest her when she landed in Vancouver. Okay, she went from Hong Kong to Vancouver, and then when she got to Vancouver, the Canadian police arrested her and they put her in jail, which I think was a big mistake. I think this was a terrible thing for Canada to do. Canada should not be doing this kind of thing. I really don't like that. I don't like that the Canadian government did this, right? I think it was a mistake. But it happened. Okay, then what did China do? Well, recently, China stopped buying canola from Canada. This crop, this yellow crop, is called canola. A lot of Canadian farmers grow canola and they sell it to China. But recently, China said, nope, that's it. Your canola is bad. We are not going to buy your canola. And, I mean, obviously, it's because Canada, captured this woman, right? They won't say it. China might not say it. This is because, but we all know how politics works, right? So we could say, if China wants to play hardball, we'll kick out their athletes. We'll kick out their athletes. A lot of Chinese athletes are in Canada training for the 2022 Winter Olympics in China. So they're training in Canada. So Canada could say, okay, if you don't want to buy our canola, we'll kick out your athletes. Bye. And then China could say, well, if you want to play hardball with us, we will kick out all your English teachers, all the Canadian English teachers teaching and working in China. Then Canada could say, well, if you want to play hardball with us, we're going to kick out all the Chinese people from Canada. We're going to kick out all the Chinese people. No more Chinese people in Canada. Then China could say, well, if you want to play hardball with us, we're going to nuke your country. We're going to nuke your country. Then Justin Trudeau would go to Donald Trump and say, please, Trump, will you save us from China? And then Donald Trump would say, China, if you attack Canada, we're going to attack you. And then Mr. Putin would say, well, USA, if you're going to attack China, we're going to attack you. And that's the end of the world. That's the end of the world right there. Hey, maybe this will be my last lesson here at Mad English TV. Because if the world ends, well, then Mad English TV ends too, right? Unless I could teach you English in heaven. Maybe I could teach you English in heaven. That would be great. Hey, I want to know, have you ever played hardball with anyone? Have you ever played hardball? That means to be tough. Okay, if you want to be tough with me, I'll be tough with you. Let's play hardball. Let me know down there in the comments if you've played hardball with anyone before. Hey, I hope you find these few baseball idioms useful, and I'll see you guys over in the next episode of Mad English TV. Take care.